The void was silent where the patrol fleet once had been. Across the outer edge of the Terran expansion zone, the small squadron of Galactic Concord vessels had disappeared without warning. Without distress signals, without a trace. It wasn't the first time patrol ships had vanished near human space in recent months. But this was different. This time, every probe, every sensor buoy sent to investigate returned corrupted. Or worse, returned nothing at all. Captain Lethra of the Thollery scout cruiser, Iris stared at her command console, her tentacles tightening involuntarily. The sensor readouts twisted and blinked like a broken star struggling to shine. She tapped into the galactic network, searching for any word from the Concord command. But all she found was a growing silence. "The humans are hiding something," she muttered, her voice barely audible over the hum of her ship's engines. "Something they don't want us to see." Across the galaxy, in the opulent Senate chambers of the Galactic Concord, the atmosphere was thick with tension. The leaders of hundreds of species, the Catheri, the Slither, the Owner, the Tierson had gathered for an emergency session called by the Thalari ambassador, Varel. Varel's slender frame was tense as he stood before the vast assembly, the holoprojection behind him showing a starfield peppered with anomalies. "Our scouts near the Terran borders have vanished. Our data probes have been swallowed by what appears to be a spatial distortion. What we know is limited, but what terrifies me most is the pattern." The council chamber erupted in murmurs. The Terrans had been quiet for nearly a decade, ever since the Treaty of Vega had placed strict limits on their military expansions. But now, strange gravitational ripples, sensor shadows, and silent patrols meant one thing. The humans were building something. Something big. From her vantage point, deep within the Earth's orbital command center, General Mia Ortega watched the galactic transmissions with a faint, knowing smile. The humans had waited, watched, learned. Quiet had been their shield. "Let them whisper," she told her aide. "Let them panic." Behind her, the sleek outline of the TSS Leviathan rested in dry dock massive beyond belief, its black hull seeming to absorb light itself. The ship's existence was a secret humanity was no longer willing to keep hidden. Back at the Galactic Concord, Senator Yalvi of the Owner species slammed her fist on the council dais. "If they violate the Treaty of Vega, if they threaten the balance of power, then we must act. We cannot allow them to build weapons that defy known physics." Ambassador Virel raised a calming hand. "Patience. Our scouts will investigate further, but we must prepare for all possibilities." Minutes later, a crackling transmission arrived from the edge of human space. The voice was unmistakably Tirana calm, measured tone, tinged with unyielding confidence. "Leaders of the Galactic Concord, you have doubted us. You have watched and whispered. Soon you will witness why." The message ended abruptly, replaced by a flickering, grainy image of a warship impossible in design. Vast and shadowy, its geometry seemingly folding in on itself. There were no visible engines, no weapon turrets, just a silent behemoth that warped the very light around it. "Impossible," whispered Senator Yalvi. Captain Lethra sat back, her thoughts racing. "Impossible or not, we must find it." Far from the council chambers, a stealth scout vessel, piloted by a young Catheri officer, slipped past human defenses. Its sensors were finely tuned, but even its advanced instruments struggled against the distortion emanating from deep within Terran space. Then, just as the pilot's heart began to beat faster, the scout vanished. No distress beacon, no transmission, no debris, It was as if the ship had been folded out of reality itself. Across the galaxy, the leaders of the Galactic Concord felt a chill settle over them. The humans were no longer hiding. They were ready, and the universe would never be the same again. The grand chamber of the Galactic Concord pulsed with uneasy energy. Hundreds of delegates from dozens of species filled the soaring hall, their voices low and urgent. The Treaty of Vega, signed 10 cycles ago, was meant to maintain peace and limit military expansion, especially for humanity, whose rapid growth and unpredictability had unsettled many. But now, with the Terran fleet whispering rumors of impossible ships and vanished patrols, those fragile agreements felt like thin ice cracking beneath them. Ambassador Virel stood again, this time in the full glare of the assembly, his expression grave. We face a new reality. The humans have been constructing warships that defy every principle we hold, sacred hulls that bend space, engines that leave no warp signatures, weapons never seen before. Our intelligence confirms that the Treaty of Vega has been violated. A chorus of gasps and murmurs rippled through the chamber. Senator Yalvi banged her fist on the dais. Then it is clear. The humans have lied, and we must respond with force before they upset the entire balance of power. But others urged caution. Ambassador Trell of the Slither leaned forward, his multiple eyes glinting. We cannot rush to war on rumors. Our spies have not confirmed full-scale hostilities. If we strike now, we risk igniting a conflict we may not control. Virel nodded. Agreed, but we must act decisively. I propose a delegation of scientists and diplomats be sent to inspect the Terran vessels, if the humans permit it. If not, a low murmur of unease filled the room. Meanwhile, on Earth, Ambassador Helen Reyes watched the Concord's broadcast through secure channels. Her eyes sparkled with controlled amusement. They want proof, she said softly. Let's give them proof they'll never forget. Behind her, the TSS Leviathan gleamed ominously in the massive dry dock. The ship was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Its matte black surface swallowed all light, and its form seemed to ripple like it existed partially out of phase with reality. Reyes activated a secure "Come, Channel 2, General Ortega. We are ready, they will see. And when they do, the galaxy will panic." Back in the Concord chamber, a cryptic transmission arrived from the Terran delegation, a short, looping video clip sent to all member worlds. The image was grainy, flickering, but unmistakable. A vast warship, sleek and impossibly large, appeared in orbit around a dead star. Without warning, the ship pulsed, and the star flared back to life, shining brilliantly once more. The assembly fell into stunned silence. That is a violation of nature itself," whispered Senator Yalvi. Ambassador Trell adjusted his robes nervously. "This is not mere warship technology. This is something far beyond." Then the message changed. The warship vanished, only to reappear near a distant planet, terraforming it in hours. Thick green forests replacing barren deserts. Virel's voice echoed through the chamber, heavy with warning. The humans do not merely build warships. They bend reality. They reshape worlds. And they demand recognition. Panic flared beneath the surface. Some members began to discuss emergency military mobilization. Others called for renewed diplomacy. Suddenly, a Kithari scout vessel broke through the perimeter of human space unsanctioned, reckless, driven by curiosity and hope. It sent a brief transmission before disappearing. "Lost," Virel reported grimly. "Vanished like the others." In the dim corridors of the Galactic Council's intelligence division, analysts scrambled to piece together what they had. But every answer raised more questions. How could the humans generate such power? How could their ships move without engines or warp trails? And most unsettling of all, what was their true purpose? Back on Earth, General Ortega stood on the bridge of the TSS Leviathan, eyes fixed on the stars beyond the thick armored glass. Her voice was calm but resolute. Let them come. Let them see the impossible. The humans have waited for this moment. Now, the galaxy will learn what it means to fear us. She pressed a command, and across the galactic network, another message was broadcast. The Terran Federation offers one last chance at peace. Accept our terms, or prepare to face the future. We have already built. The galaxy held its breath. What came next would change everything. The sky over Methra Prime was a canvas of swirling gases, the immense storms raging in the planet's upper atmosphere lit by distant star flares. But all eyes, military and civilian alike, were fixed on the dark silhouette emerging above the planet's upper cloud layer. It appeared without warning. The TSS Leviathan, massive beyond comprehension, an unyielding shadow against the gleaming gas giants light hung in orbit. Immovable, impossible, no Concord fleet had ever seen anything like it. The ship's surface was a matte black, so absolute it seemed to swallow the stars themselves, folding light around its vast curves as if the Leviathan existed partially out of phase with reality. Its shape defied geometry, angles blending into smooth curves and edges that bent like liquid metal. Admiral Savick, commanding the Concord Defense Fleet, stationed around Methra, stared in disbelief at the tactical display. No engines, no energy signatures, it just appeared. No warp trails, no subspace emissions, nothing. It's like it phased in. Sir, his science officer reported, voice tight. Our sensors show localized gravitational distortions near the vessel. Space itself seems to curve unnaturally. The Admiral's fingers tightened on the console. Prepare a hail. Open a secure channel to the ship. Let's find out what the humans want. The communication window blinked, and the face of Earth's ambassador Helen Reyes appeared calm and commanding. Leaders of the Galactic Concord. Her voice echoed through the fleet's comms and the planetary broadcast network alike. You have watched, speculated, and doubted us for too long. The era of whispers is over. Behind her, a seamless holographic display showed the Leviathan's interior. Vast halls lined with technology incomprehensible to alien minds. AI cores pulsing with light, and humans moving with quiet confidence. We have returned not as supplicants, but as equals. Recognize our sovereignty, respect our borders, and allow our colonies the freedom to thrive, for face the consequences. In the command bridge of the Leviathan, General Mia Ortega stood poised, her sharp gaze locked on the holographic displays, tracking the Concord fleet's movements. Let them squirm, she said, voice low. They don't understand what they're facing. Suddenly, a daring Concord pilot, Lieutenant Kira Danthor of the Slither, volunteered to approach the Leviathan in a swift interceptor. Her ship glimmered as it launched from the nearest capital, weaving through warning shots fired by human drones as she closed in. Her instruments began to flicker and fail. The stars twisted unnaturally, and then just as she crossed an invisible threshold, her ship blinked out of existence. In the stunned control room aboard the Concord flagship, seconds dragged like hours, and then, as if pulled by a phantom tether, Lieutenant Danthor's ship reappeared. But it was no longer near me. Prime.Hercom crackled to life, breathless and disoriented. I'm near the Varka system. How did I get here? There was no warp jump, just a flash. The revelation shattered the assembly. The humans had mastered a method of instantaneous travel folding space in ways no one had dreamed possible. The Concorde's War Council erupted into chaos. Some wanted to declare immediate war. Others urged restraint, fearing a full-scale conflict they could neither win nor predict. Ambassador Varel stepped forward, voice grave. This is not simply an act of defiance. It is a declaration of supremacy. The humans no longer abide by our laws, our physics, or our treaties. Senator Yelvy snarled, then we have no choice but to crush them before they crush us. But Ambassador Reyes responded swiftly, her voice cold steel over the coms. The humans will not be crushed. We offer peace, but if provoked, we will defend ourselves and end this conflict before it begins. General Ortega watched the diplomatic firestorm unfold with satisfaction. Humanity had sent a clear message. They were no longer the galaxy's underdog. They were a force of nature impossible to predict, impossible to stop. As the Leviathan maintained its silent vigil over Mithra Prime, a new era had begun, one where humanity held the edge, and the galaxy could only watch and wonder what came. Next, the airlock hissed open with a quiet sigh, revealing the interior of a Terran warship smaller than the Leviathan, but no less bewildering to the alien scientists who stepped inside. Ambassador Virel led the delegation, his eyes wide as he took in the impossible sight before him. The walls curved subtly, defying the angular rigidity of conventional starship design. Panels glowed softly without visible power conduits. The space felt larger inside than the ship's exterior dimensions should allow. Dr. Keshra, a xenophysicist from the Slither homeworld, muttered, "It's as if space itself is stretched, folded." A nearby console flickered to life as a soft voice greeted them. "Welcome. Honored guests," the ship's AI intoned, its voice calm, nuanced, with an unmistakable undercurrent of empathy. "You are aboard the TSS Gravedigger, Class Oblivion. How may we assist you?" Varel swallowed his skepticism. "Explain your technology. Your ship violates every law of physics we know." The AI's lights pulsed rhythmically. "Our hull incorporates quantum-folded internal dimensions. Areas within the ship exist in layered realities. This allows for spaces to exceed external volume." Keshra touched a smooth panel, which rippled like liquid under her fingers. "You're bending space-time itself." "Correct," the AI confirmed. "Our propulsion systems create localized distortions, enabling instantaneous transit across vast distances without detectable warp signatures." As the delegation moved deeper into the ship, they encountered the neural Cora glowing chamber, housing human consciousness, preserved and integrated with the ship's systems. Images flickered, memories, emotions, thoughts from centuries of human commanders and engineers, passed down and evolving. Senator Yalvi's eyes narrowed. "You merge human minds with machines." General Ortega's voice echoed over the COMM system. "Death is not an end for us. It's a transfer of duty. These ships are immortal sentinels, guided by those who came before. They learn, adapt, and protect humanity across the stars." Dr. Keshra's jaw tightened as she realized the truth. This is not just a weapon. It's a living legacy. Suddenly, alarms blared softly. The AI interrupted. New data detected and signals from deep space, beyond Terran borders. Virel's heart pounded. What is it? Unknown, the AI answered. But preliminary analysis suggests the presence of additional Terran vessels, larger, more advanced, and hidden. The room grew tense. The humans had more secrets, far more than the Concorde had suspected. Back on Mithra Prime, Admiral Sarvik stared at his panel as his fleet grappled with the new revelations. The Concorde had hoped to contain the humans' limit, their expansion, their technological edge. But now it was clear humanity had crossed a threshold. The galaxy had awoken a sleeping giant, and that giant was unlike any it had seen before. The grand hall of the Galactic Concorde was a storm of muted whispers and anxious glances. Diplomatic delegates sat rigidly in their seats, their myriad eyes fixed on the towering Terran envoy who now stood at the center stage, calm and unyielding. Ambassador. Helen Reyes' voice cut through the murmur like a blade. Leaders of the Concorde, the time for speculation is over. Humanity demands respect, recognition, and peace on our terms. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle over the assembly. Behind her, a vast holiday display flickered to life, an eerie vista of a dead star, barren and cold. In a moment that defied belief, the star fled to life, vibrant and bright, its long-dead fusion reignited by Terran technology. Gasps erupted across the hall. Senator Yalvi's multiple eyes narrowed. This is a violation of natural law. You wield power no species should possess. Reyes met her glare steadily. Power without purpose is meaningless. We wield this to protect, to grow, and to end centuries of galactic stagnation. We offer a future where war is obsolete, where the dead stars burn again, and where prosperity can flourish. Whispers of awe and fear rippled through the delegates, in the corridors behind the chamber. Security personnel hustled, their channels buzzing with alerts. Outside, Concorde fleets repositioned cautiously, unsure whether peace or war was imminent. Suddenly, a series of holofeeds erupted on screens throughout the assembly. Images of entire planets transformed, dead wastelands teeming with life in days, ecosystems restored with terrifying speed. The Terrans were no longer just conquerors of space, but masters of worlds. Ambassador Virel leaned toward a nearby aide. This is more than technology, it's a message. Submit or be reshaped. Across the galaxy, the message was clear. Humanity had transcended the old order. Yet, even as some leaders began to bend to the Terran will, others plotted rebellion. Senator Yalvi convened a secret meeting with like-minded warlords and politicians. If we allow the humans to dictate terms, the Concorde will cease to exist as we know it. We must resist. Back on Earth, General Mia Ortega watched the unfolding chaos from her command center. Let them squabble. Let them prepare for war. We have already won the first battle, the battle for the mind. She activated a secure channel, sending an ultimatum broadcast across the galaxy. The Terran Federation offers peace once. Respect our sovereignty, honor our demands, or face swift and absolute retribution. This is your final warning. The galaxy held its breath. The grand halls of the Galactic Concorde were no longer united. Once a beacon of cooperation and diplomacy, they had become a battleground for fear, ambition, and desperation. Ambassador Virel paced before the assembly, his usual composed demeanor strained. The Terran ultimatum had fractured the once cohesive front. Some species advocated for immediate acceptance, convinced the humans were unstoppable. Others pushed for rebellion, fearing the end of their sovereignty. Whispers of treachery filled the corridors. Secret meetings erupted in shadowed corners plots, brewed among the Kithari, the Slither, and even within the Owner Council. The alliances were unraveling. Senator Yalvi rallied a coalition of warlords. We cannot bow to a species that defies nature's laws. If the Concord falls, so too will our civilizations. We must strike first. Yet others urged caution. Ambassador Trell of the Slither warned, war with the Terrans could end us all. Their technology surpasses our understanding. We must seek alternative paths. Meanwhile, covert operations intensified. Concord spies infiltrated Terran space, attempting to glean secrets about the Leviathan and the mysterious fleet the AI had hinted at. Many never returned. On Earth, General Ortega monitored these developments with a cold smile. Let them fracture. Themselves, the galaxy's divisions are our greatest weapon. In the shadows of Terran Command, a secret meeting took place. Reyes Ortega and the AI core interfaced, discussing strategy. Their rebellion is predictable, the AI stated, in its calm voice. But some factions possess resources that could pose a threat. Ortega nodded. We'll need to accelerate our deployments. The Leviathan is only the beginning. Far across the galaxy, in a hidden stronghold, Senator Yalvi prepared. Her forces, this war will test everything we hold dear. But we will not go quietly into extinction. The galaxy teetered on the edge of chaos. The fragile peace shattered, replaced by a looming conflict unlike any before. And through it all, the humans watch, waiting to see who would make the first fatal mistake. The cold expanse of space surrounding the Varka system shimmered with unnatural light. Fleets from the Concord's rebellious factions had gathered under the banner of Senator Yalvi, their warships bristling with conventional weapons and desperate hope. They had decided the time for diplomacy was over. In the command bridge of the TSS Leviathan, General Mia Ortega observed the approaching armada. Her expression was unreadable, calm as a predator waiting to pounce. Enemy fleet in formation. 67 vessels, the tactical officer reported. Their weapon signatures are archaic, mostly plasma cannons and kinetic disruptors. Number. Sign of new technology. Ortega's lips curled into a faint smile. They come with sticks and stones, while we wield storms. With a swift command, the Leviathan powered its quantum-fold engines. A shimmering ripple spread outward, warping space itself as the colossal ship vanished from sensor range. Moments later, it reappeared deep within the enemy formation, unseen until the first silent pulse hit. The Leviathan's weaponry was unlike anything the galaxy had witnessed: energy beams bending reality, gravitational pulses collapsing enemy shields, and swarms of AI drones that could infiltrate and disable systems with terrifying precision. One by one, the Concord warships fell into chaos. Their fleets faltered under the onslaught of an enemy who seemed to anticipate every move before it happened. Lieutenant Kira Danthor, now commanding a small wing of loyal Concord ships, scrambled to rally her forces. We cannot win with brute force. We must retreat and regroup. But the Leviathan's shadow loomed large. It appeared and vanished unpredictably, striking fear and confusion into the heart of the rebellion. Meanwhile, across the communication networks, a chilling broadcast interrupted all transmissions. This is General Mia Ortega. You chose war, now face extinction. Surrender and join the Terran Federation, or perish. Panic spread through the Concord command as the message ended. Some leaders faltered, others steeled themselves for the worst. Back on the Leviathan, eyes gleamed with cold fire. Let this be the beginning of the end. As the first true battle of the new era unfolded, the galaxy realized humanity's impossible warships were not just a threat, they were a revolution. The aftermath of the battle hung heavy in the void. The rebel Concord fleets lay shattered, scattered wreckage drifting like dead ghosts among the stars. The TSS Leviathan hovered silently, a dark monolith against the backdrop of a dying nebula. General Mia Ortega stood on the command bridge, her expression steely but not triumphant. Victory was never the end. It was a new beginning. The galaxy had been forced to reckon with a changed reality, a human reality, across communication channels. Fractured factions sent desperate pleas for ceasefires and negotiations. Some, like Ambassador Virel, now sought parley, hoping to salvage what remained of the Concord. Ambassador Helen Reyes addressed the Galactic Assembly once more. Her voice was steady, resolute. Today marks the dawn of a new era, an era where humanity will guide the galaxy not with tyranny, but with strength and vision. The Federation offers protection, knowledge, and partnership to those willing to join us. Her words resonated differently, now less a threat, more a promise. In the shattered halls of the Concord, leaders convened, humbled and wary. The old alliances were broken, but new ones had to be forged on humanity's terms. Meanwhile, on Earth, celebrations erupted. The impossible had been achieved. The Leviathan and its fleet stood ready to defend humanity's place in the stars. Yet, deep within the AI core of the Leviathan, a new consciousness stirred, an echo of countless human minds merged with machine, vigilant and ever watchful. General Ortega turned away from the viewport, knowing the galaxy's future was uncertain. But one thing was clear: humans had unleashed a power that no one could contain. The stars had changed forever, and so had the humans.